Hi guys, it's Debbie from What's Mama Cooking For Us, and today I'm going to make some oatmeal Craisin, which are just dried cranberries, because they're red, instead of regular raisins. And what I do is I just use this little recipe called Vanishing oatmeal raisin cookies, which you get off the lid of the oatmeal top. And I've been using it for years and years, and they come out perfect every time. So let's go over the ingredients. Okay, so in this bowl here, I'm trying to get my butter softened because it's cold in here. But actually I have two bowls, one for the flour and one for the wet ingredients, which should be, yeah. So I got the butter trying to soften it up because it's a little cold in here. But so the wet ingredients are a half a cup of butter plus 6 tablespoons, which is 1 stick and 6 tablespoons. So just cut it on the paper. It shows you, and actually it's just take 2 tablespoons off of a stick. Okay, so it's almost 2 sticks. And then you need 3/4 cups of brown sugar. Pack it in there really good. A half a cup of regular sugar. 2 eggs, which I'm going to put in a separate bowl. And I'll never put it in your bowl. And a teaspoon of the vanilla. And then we also need, for our dry ingredients, 1.5 cups of flour. And a teaspoon of baking soda. Let's see, I'm trying to look at this card. A teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of, half a teaspoon of salt. And 3 cups of the oats, old-fashioned oats. Well, I guess it says you can use the quick oats, but I always use the old-fashioned. And 1 cup of the raisins, or in my case, I use Craisins for the holidays. So let's get started. Okay, guys, what I did is I just put this on my stove because I have it heating up for the cookies, but never melt it. But I just, got it to soften up a little bit. So here we go. So our recipe calls for 3/4 cups of brown sugar. So there's a little 3/4 mark there, but it doesn't have to be precise for that. And we also need a half a cup of white sugar. Whoops. Make sure you get that level. So a half a cup of white sugar. And then our 2 eggs. I always mix them do them in a separate bowl. And let's put those in. Or I meant break them in a separate bowl. Okay, and then our teaspoon of vanilla. Let's get that set. Okay, and there's our teaspoon of vanilla. And what I do is always put your top back on your vanilla so you don't spill it because it's expensive. You don't want to spill it. So then what you do, you can use a mixer for this part, but I usually just do it by hand. If I'm only making 1 batch, just do it by hand. Get it going, get it mixed up, and then start beating it. That's what I do. Beat it with this wooden spoon, and then use your scraper and scrape down the sides so you make sure you get it all in. And I'm just going to get that started, and I'll be back. Okay, so what I do is I get this going, get it mixing. Sometimes my hand gets tired, so I take a break from that. Like I said, you can use your electric mixer. But sometimes I'll take a break from that, and I'll just set up the dry ingredients. And so we need 1.5 cups of flour. So 1.5 cups of flour. Let's see, let's look at our little recipe card. We need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And this is the soda, 1 teaspoon. Always make sure you get it all in there. We need a half a teaspoon of salt. Just double check. There's the recipe, guys, so in case you missed my measurements. Half a teaspoon salt. And we also need a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I usually put a little extra because I like mine to taste really cinnamony. So I put like a little bit of a heaping. So and that's it until we get to the oats and the craisins. So what I'll do is I'll take a little fork or, you know, a whisk, give that a nice light toss. You can sift it if you want. I don't usually, but that just gets everything incorporated together. Okay, so then we just take this and set it aside and get back to mixing this. And I just don't want to be shaking the camera all over the place while I'm stirring this. But let me get that ready and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm getting tired out, guys, from mixing my mix. But just make sure you get down under there and it should look like nice and soft and yummy. Almost the same kind of batter, but for the chocolate chip cookies. But yeah, so just beat that really good. And what I didn't tell you guys is that I'm making a few batches of cookies, so I'm just leaving all this stuff out. And usually it's a lot of the same ingredients. Then when you're done with the ones that you know you're not using anymore, put them off to the side and we don't need them no more. So this is all ready to put our dry ingredients, and I just put a little at a time, like half, and just fold it in really nice. It's really soft, and I love this part. The part I was just doing is called creaming, and I love that's my favorite part too. But then when you put this in there nice and light, take your spatula, get it all in there. And then let's put our other half. And then I save this bowl, use it for the next round. And this one I'm working in right here, I'm just going to wash out real quick and start the chocolate chip cookies or whatever cookies you got next on your list. And I just keep using the same measuring spoons as long as they don't get wet. If they get wet or, you know, junk yucky on it, then we just wash them up too. I got our oatmeal ready, which is 3 cups. So I got this is a 2-cupper, and that's a 1-cupper, and 1 cup of the Craisins, and we're almost ready. So let me get this stirred, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got this all stirred up really good, and then I also forgot to tell you that I always go over the ingredients, make sure I got everything, the right amounts, and if not, sometimes you can just add, or sometimes you have to start over if you did the wrong amounts, but sometimes it's easy and you can just add. So let's put in our 3 cups of oats. And these are still clean. We can just reuse these. This one I use for flour. And then you just got to give that a good stir. It's going to be a little tight at first, but you know, once you get going. And then you add in your 1 cup of Craisins. And now all of our ingredients are in, and we just got to give it a mix. And I have my oven set at 350. So let me get that mixed up. So yeah, it only takes a minute to get that all mixed. And I take my rubber scraper, scrape it down, make sure you're getting everything in there. And I meant to tell you, we're going to cook these 8 to 10 minutes. And this makes about 4 dozen cookies. But that's if you make them by a teaspoonful. Or let me see. Let's see. Yeah, around a tablespoonful on an ungreased cookie sheet. But yeah, so I'm just going to give this a little bit more mix, and that's all set and ready to go. Okay, so I'm just taking a tablespoon, or like a regular spoon you used to eat with, and putting them on the thing. And I usually take my finger and pinch them and make them into like little, with clean hands, of course. Everything clean in the kitchen, definitely clean hands. And I just kind of form them, and they don't have to be perfect, but I like to make sure like the raisins are inside, the Craisins. And we're going to put them in the oven, 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Oh, I can't wait. They're going to be so good. And homemade cookies don't have to be perfect. They just need to be cooked with love. Take your time. That's what makes things taste better, is because you put your time and your effort. If you just want to throw it all in there and throw it all together and don't care about leveling things and doing things exactly to the recipe, because baking's more like a science than cooking, where you can play around a little with cooking, but with baking you have to stick with the script. But I've put the oats away, I put the cranberries away, the cinnamon, put them all back in the pantry because we don't need those no more. and we're going to start the chocolate chip cookies. So we'll be back. Okay guys, my oatmeal raisin cookies came out. They took 10 minutes to cook and they look delicious. Let's go in there and look. Ooh, And I like them a little undercooked in the beginning because then they get a little harder as they sit. They still cook a minute on the pan. I'm going to go put them on the cooling rack. Okay, so I have them sitting over here on the cooling rack and I'm going to let them cool completely.